Hello, Andrew here yet again, and today we have moved into Matthew chapter 25. Well, we're getting close to it. And we're continuing on the same theme, which is Jesus talking about being ready. Being ready. Ready for the return of the King, but also seems to just also giving us a fuller picture of what the kingdom of heaven is like. And so we pick up the narrative at Matthew chapter 25, verses 1 through to 13. It's a parable. Then the kingdom of heaven will be like this, says Jesus. 10 bridesmaids took their lamps and went to meet the bridegroom. 5 of them were foolish, and 5 were wise. When the foolish took their lamps, they took no oil with them, but the wise took flasks of oil with their lamps. As the bridegroom was delayed, all of them became drowsy and slept. But at midnight there was a shout, "Look, here is the bridegroom. Come out to meet him." Then all those bridesmaids got up and trimmed their lamps. The foolish said to the wise, "Give us some of your oil, for our lamps are going out." But the wise replied, "No, there will not be enough for you and for us. You'd better go to the dealers and buy some for yourselves." And while they went to buy it, the bridegroom came, and those who were ready went with him into the wedding banquet, and the door was shut. Later the other bridesmaids came also, saying, "Lord, Lord, open up to us." But he replied, "Truly I tell you, I do not know you. Keep awake therefore," says Jesus, "for you do not know, you know neither the day nor the hour." I understand that the wedding festivities in that day, and I think still to today, could last for up to a week. It started for many as a game as to when the bridegroom would appear. It's quite interesting. We have the opposite. To us, it's a question of when's the bride going to appear? You know, how late is she going to be? There was a time when there was a fashionable lateness, but these days I think they come pretty promptly. But here it's the bridegroom. When is the bridegroom going to come? And it's not just, within a period of an hour. It could be quite a long period. He could turn up with his entourage at any time. And it seems that for many, they'd be delighted if they caught the bride's team unawares. I understand that turning up at midnight was not unheard of. But that once he'd entered the house, the door was shut. And that was it. If you weren't in the house, you missed out. I feel kind of cringy for the 5 unprepared bridesmaids. There's something inside me that feels kind of panicky as I allow the story to sit with me. I can imagine the sense of panic when they realise that they've overslept and that they have no oil to keep their lamps burning. They're just on their way out right now. It had not occurred to them that the bridegroom would turn up this late. What are they to do? I've wondered what would be worse, the humiliation of your lamp going out in the middle of the festivities, or of being excluded altogether. Now you might think, so that's a question. Well, it's a question for me. And I ask the question, what if they'd stayed, knowing that their lamps almost certainly would go out? Are they going to be evicted from that household? I think that's unlikely. They'd likely be the butt of jokes the rest of the evening, maybe the rest of the week, and maybe even from time to time for the rest of their lives, but they'd all get over it. I turned up late for a wedding once. The bad bit was it was a wedding that I was actually taking. It was an older couple in the church. By older, I mean that they were only slightly older than I am now, but this was quite some years ago. And what happened was that they'd sent out invitations, and I hadn't checked the invitation that I'd received, but that it was an hour before the time that we'd agreed when we first set the wedding up, and I never checked. So here I am. On the wedding day, I'm sitting at my desk at 2:15 in the afternoon in my gardening clothes, typing away finishing touches to the wedding, just about to print it off. And the phone rings. Hello? So-and-so here. Where are you? Oh, I'm sitting at my desk, putting the finishing touches to the wedding. Well, we've started. You've started what? We've started the wedding. I says, but it starts at 3. No, it starts at 2. And we've started. We've started with a whole lot of worship songs and we're coming right to the end. Oh. I rush upstairs. I throw my old clothes off, put my suit on, and I'm fastening up my tie as I'm walking through the door of the church for the last song. Just coming to an end. Just there, just in time. 20 minutes late, but just in time. It was a great wedding. I have to say that. It was actually a very good. There were lots of jokes, and a good number of them made by me, and all of them at my expense. It was one of those things you just won't forget. But we kind of got over it, you know. It became part of the fabric of the whole event itself, that the pastor, the celebrant who was supposed to take the wedding, was 20 minutes late. Something to remember. And I kind of imagine thinking about this wedding, that sometimes facing the immediate humiliation of being caught short is better than the delayed yet long time embarrassment of being known as one of the ones that were excluded altogether. I wonder how that would have felt. They ran a risk. They thought, we might be able to get back in time, because it would be awful to be so embarrassed that showed that we weren't properly prepared and that our lamps went out, and that we would be a source of considerable humour and maybe find it totally humiliating. But would it have been better to have gone through that than to be excluded? See, by staying, I want to suggest they would have remained in relationship, awkward though it may have been for a while. It strikes me as not being fatal. Being excluded, though, is more problematic. How does one come back from that? There is hurt now on both sides, and it kind of becomes hard to repair. The advice at the end of the text in this context is to keep awake, therefore, for you know neither the day nor the hour. And I want to suggest that that doesn't help much. When they're out of oil, they're out of oil. Lack of preparedness for the possibility of a delayed arrival is the cause of the problem. How to remedy it seems to be the next one. The course is set before these young women even leave their own homes to go to the wedding. If the bridegroom comes at a reasonable hour, all will be well. If he's delayed, it could be a problem. If he's delayed extraordinarily, there will be a problem. And he is delayed, and there is a problem. Now, it seems to me we all make mistakes, and I may be wrong in what I've just suggested to you. This may be my mistake. My sense, though, is it's better to front up, endure the ribbing and the humiliation, and keep the relationship in an undefended way, rather than to seek to cover up the mistake and risk the loss of the relationship altogether. What's the kingdom of heaven kind of approach, do you think, that's involved in this? I'm not sure what Jesus is actually pointing to. And it may be that simply being as well prepared as you can be is indeed the best option. Having said that, I'm not sure that running out of oil is the worst possible thing that could happen. Anyway, that's just been what's rattling through my head and heart. God bless you.